Welcome to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to boast about knowing no more than 60%, which is still more than all 9 episodes of Visions combined. I'm Jason, the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy, broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios. I'm not alone. Please allow me to introduce your favorite wretched scum, scoundrels, and smugglers. You pick which one they are. That's your week to do it. Neighbor Cole from Corellia up first. Hello, sir.
Thank you to From having me forthwith in the studio. To From. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakespeare.
Did I use that correctly?
38 episodes in, and I know the name of this show.
We got it. Oh, a little ice pack coming out on the table.
Forgot about that.
I appreciate you having me down here in your
Wookiee Poo Studios.
recovery state.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You had some laser saber blasting to the
carablasting. How did they not make like
regions.
a pair of underwear, like medical pair of underwear they gave you after one of those vasectomies?
I'm
you
pretty
just walk
sure they
around
do.
with like a pouch. I didn't get one. It was
Yeah,
just
I
go
didn't get
home
one
and
either.
sit down a bag of peas. He's like, unless you like peas, don't do that because then you won't like those anymore.
Is
And
it
I was like,
vasectomy or vasectomy?
It's Vaz. It's
Vasectomy.
vasectomy. So yeah.
Carter was yelling vasectomy all day yesterday when we were playing football in the front yard. He kept saying
Like that was his play?
vasectomy. Like every time Cole goes to catch the ball, and I start laughing and I couldn't throw it. It was funny.
That's probably my Michigan accent. I think I say vasectomy a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't pronounce anything right, let alone the name of this show.
correctly.
Who else is on this show?
We have a third micer coming in hot from the hyperspace lines, or lanes, if you will.
Also, Darth Matthews. If you want to just pull that all out, that's fine.
He's the editor-in-chief for the fastest growing podcast in the this side of Corellia.
The Outer Rim.
Or the Outer Rim, yeah.
Yeah.
Any way you want to put it. Welcome to the show, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, and thanks. I have also had the vasectomy, and it's I don't know how you felt about it. It's one of those that most people say it's not as bad as you think. Is that kind of how you felt? Like you go in, I think, dreading it more than the actual procedure that it gets over with, and you're like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was pretty. Although, like, I had to have more anesthetic, right? I had to have more.
They hadn't numbed you up enough.
Oh, they did. He promised me that I had enough, but I needed more, and I told him I was going to, and he didn't believe me. And then and then it was almost. And I've never had anything at all, like other than a cast on a thumb once when I broke my thumb play fighting. So like I've never been in the doctors for anything like that. So just, being in there and having something done, almost like an out of body experience though. Like you're sitting on the table and you can almost like visually see everything that's happening to you,
You didn't look though, right?
No.
Okay, go.
And I was waiting for him to offer to see if I wanted to because I was kind of curious. But after taking a look down after 24 hours...
At what point in time did the medical droid come floating in with the fucking syringe on the front?
I would have let it kill me. There was a part where I broke out into fucking sweats because I could see the smoke, my burning skin wafting off. And I was just like, no.
Yeah, there's a point in the show Californication where he goes in to get a vasectomy, and the smoke thing happens, and he goes, "Oh, there's a new pope."
Yes, he does.
Yeah, it's you were just screaming for Bacta the whole time. I need more Bacta.
Oh yeah, just put it in me, or like I need Baby Yoda just to come in there and just fucking heal me instantly.
Yeah. I just remember staring at the ceiling the whole time. Like I was really examining those ceiling tiles, trying to not focus on what was happening.
Yep, and he's like talking to me, telling jokes the whole time.
Yeah, mine was too.
Yeah.
Talking to me about the Lions versus the Packers that was coming up and the game coming up.
Yeah, I talked about basketball. NCAA basketball tournament is what we were talking about. So it's kind of one of those. Was there anybody else in the room, or was it just you and the doctor?
It was just me and him because I was wondering the same thing. But like, there was a nurse in there at first, and she was in there, and she was counting all the tools and everything. But she was like lifting this blue towel up, and she'd like whatever, and then she'd look down. So then I'm like, why do they have this covered? What's going on here? Like I don't get to see what's going on, So that stayed covered until I lay down.
It's the torture kit from Braveheart.
Exactly. Yeah,
the weirdest thing though is like I don't think, other than the time that I went in to the urologist, you're laying there butt ass naked, and the guy's just like, drop it to the knees or drop your shorts to your knees.
Get out on your knees,
lay
sir.
down on the table.
Yeah, what kind of urologist you go to?
I was like, is this how I pay? This is my copayment.
Kyle, I need you.
So you lay down, and he's like, all right, grab your penis and hold it up. And then he like takes tape from one thigh to the other and just like tapes your dick down, so it doesn't get in the way. He's like, I started doing this after the whole Bobbit thing. I was like, oh, this is where the jokes are, huh?
Oh no.
Yeah.
I just got this vision in my head when you mentioned the Braveheart thing of the doctor coming in with like the thing over his head, like the mask, as he's about to do it. You're like, no,
knit, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Last thing on that is, and I talked about this on another show. My guy told me he did his own. You remember this?
No.
Yeah. So he tells me this before I get it done, and I'm thinking, is this guy all there? Do I have like a lunatic who's now going to be down there messing with my vas deferens?
I want, like you hear about medical students who have to like do shots on each other and do all these things. I wonder if he just like, what? I'm gonna get an A in this class.
Well, I think when I was talking to Neil about it, he's like, what did he like Captain Morgan it? Just like put the fucking leg up and just started snipping away.
Well, what if it was a scenario like in The Hangover where someone made him a bet that he wasn't a good enough dentist to pull his own tooth? He's like, I can do my own vasectomy. He's got fucking.
It is a strange thing because he's like, you're gonna feel a bee sting, and it's more than a fucking bee sting. I'll tell you that. I don't know if you guys remember it. Like I'm 3 days out from it, so it's still fresh. Like I gotta recover from this trauma. Yeah.
The thing that fucked with me is I could feel my insides tugging when he was pulling. Like that.
Oh, yep.
That was so uncomfortable. And then like I was showering, and I don't know what Megan was talking about it. She's talking about something about you being a dick in the chat or whatever and saying something about your vasectomy. And I was like, oh my God, I just got phantom nut pain.
Did you?
Like just out of nowhere. Like I was sitting there trying to wash myself and I was being really super gentle down there. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why I'm moving so slow. But it's just like.
I was being a dick?
She was just saying, she was laughing. Like, you're a dick in a humorous way.
Okay.
Like,
right.
as always.
Yeah.
Just remember, all you got to do now once you recover, 20 blows, right? Is it 20?
I think it was 12.
Oh, 12. Okay.
Yeah,
I went extra.
I got to have 12 before I go in 5 weeks. I'm like, 12 before 5. Like, I'll have 12 done. And I tried getting started yesterday.
Oh, that first one is scary.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be. And I think that's part of why I'm like, let's just jump into this. Let's see what happens here.
Matt told his lady friend, the doctor said 200. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And we have to do it over the course of a month. So let's go.
It's 4 days.
Forearms are going to look like Quagmires after we found out porn was on the internet. Just like Popeye arm.
By the way, folks, this is a Star Wars show.
Yeah.
It sure is.
We promise. You got enough visions of vasectomies running through your head, but we do have a show about visions today. So
we do. It really quickly. You can find us on the internet at FromACertainPointOfSkew.com. You can find us on Twitter at FACPAPod. You can email the show FACPAPod. That sounded weird. At gmail.com. Also, a reminder that we are part of the Podawan Podcast Network.
Cheaters.
Which includes the Clone Cast, Wayfinder Pod, Jar Jar Thinks, and Vader's Thoughts. And we added a new one, Most Things Kenobi, which is a great show. So go check them out. You can find us at Podawans on Twitter.
I wonder how many people are subscribed to all of the Star Wars. We know Rural Farm Boy is.
yeah, Roll Farm Boy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got like a detailed notebook. He's like a serial killer.
We should
He just
have,
writes down everything in the notebook and just slides it into a book like Kevin Spacey in Seven.
Yeah. Rural Farm Boy, if you get a chance, let us know if you do know Jebediah. What is his last name? Did we get a last name for him?
I don't know if we had a last name. I think it was just Jebediah.
Jebediah on a Nexus. If you know him or maybe his family, or if you're closely related to them,
I think we should write our own shorts, our own visions of like all the bullshit, crazy stories we come up with throughout these 39 episodes. I think we've got a good. We can write probably about 10 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. Something to strive for.
Yeah.
Oktoberfest.
If we ever have an off week.
New hour.
Yeah, there we go. All right, we've got a few things to go. This is going to be a long episode, so button down. If you liked Visions, you're in for something. If you didn't, well, I'll make sure you're in for something. Question of the week, we've got some more Star Wars anime content. News, we've got Disney Plus Day and a docu-series on Mr. Godfather George Lucas and ILM. We got Star Wars Visions is our big meat and potatoes of the episodes. Then we're going to go into our Maul Bag. We've got one of them. We'll get through that as quickly as possible. And we do have a FACPAtoid to get to before we wrap up this show. So first up, whoever wrote this one, I think it was Cole. What is our question of the week?
Considering the content of this week's show with the newly released Vision shorts, what would everyone like to see in the form of further non-canon anime content? Perhaps a series that is canon, more or less content, something live action, and if it were to be live action, what sort of director comes to mind?
You know, there's been talk on and off about whether Pixar would do anything Star Wars related, and I'm not quite. At some point, that's got to happen, right?
Yeah, that'd be great. I actually didn't think about that, but that'd be awesome.
It's Disney family, and at one point they did Big Hero 6, which was sort of Marvel, but it was, you know, its own little existence. Which Big Hero 6 was an amazing film. So I really would like to see Pixar tackle something, and it would have to be canon. I don't know what. I mean, I think Filoni and Favreau right now, they've got it pretty locked down, and you know the era that they're doing, the era we're most comfortable with. But Pixar, and you know what, take anything, any characters, whatever, they'd be great. I'd really like to see them do something. And you know, it'd be one of the first Star Wars ones. The first 5 minutes, you're fucking bawling like a baby.
Oh yeah, they'd have that montage sequence, and you'd be crying. Yeah. I think I always will favor, you know, live action over animation and anime stuff. So when it comes to that, I'm always going to cheat that way. And there's so many stories to tell still. I mean, even within the eras that we've been, you know, dealing with. But when you talk about stuff like, I haven't read enough to know like stuff to pull out of Legends or whatever, but it feels like we keep borrowing a little bit from that.
Oh, definitely.
You know, like we keep bringing things into canon, kind of onesie twosie. So in the end, we're going to bring a lot of that stuff over. So I mean, I would like to see more. I think the Pixar idea is great, but yeah, I'm real focused on. I can't wait for 2022 just because there's so much live action, which tends to be my favorite.
Well, we're promised 4, right? We got Bad Batch, Kenobi, Ando, and Mandalorian season 3.
Did you call it Ando?
I heard him say Ando.
Andor. My bad.
Mandor and Ando.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have
Ando Calrissian.
Malrizian.
Yeah.
What about you, Cole?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you guys were with the anime coming into this. I have never watched any anime, and none of the like Dragon Ball Z. Dabbled in a little hentai on some Dark Knights, but
Okay.
just kidding. Tentacle porn here and there. But no, I kind of was. I liked a lot of this. I know I don't want to jump ahead before we get through the news and everything, but anime's not. This stuff wasn't written for me. I'm not a big anime fan.
Right.
My son watches some Dragon Ball Z. I've never been able to get into it. I know Emma, your daughter, watches quite a bit of anime.
Yeah, she loves My Hero Academia.
And I've never gotten into it, but I don't know. I liked a lot of the story. Once you get past the wearing your emotions on your sleeve and the open mouth and the oh my god, the shocked and the like little red circles on the face.
And there's so many different types.
Yeah,
So
like there's a lot of different like cutesy stuff that they throw in there.
Yeah.
But something like live action that I was thinking of, if it was like I would love to see like a Star Wars old school. You think Quentin Tarantino first and foremost off the beginning because of like the old samurai shogun, blood splattering all over the place.
Oh, right.
But like if they could do something in that vein, like the old spaghetti western theme, with like a samurai anime twinge
This ties
to it.
right into our question of the week next week. This is
Yeah, I think that would be a direction I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't think you could ever get that violent with this content. But I would love to see something like that, like some fucking cool samurai lightsabers. You know, like
some underground
short
Star Wars
swords,
content.
some Yakuza boss type fucking stuff going on. I don't know. That's where I went with that.
Like some John Wick Jedi.
Yeah, or maybe live action shot of an umbrella lightsaber going through a guy and then opening on the other side. That kind of stuff.
I was waiting for them to do that, like the umbrella to go through, and I'm like, okay, it opened. I'm like, now pull it back through and slice this dude into 75 pieces. But they didn't do it.
They fell just short of what we really needed in this series.
Cole was speculating that you might be a little critical.
I might be a little bit, but you know, to be fair, there would be no blood in that shot because like it's almost cauterizing the wound immediately as pulling through. So you just have like chunks of body parts falling. That'd be pretty badass though.
That's why Maul was nicely singed up when he was cut in half. He didn't actually bleed. All right, should we get into the news?
Let's do it.
So a couple items here. One is that this past week they announced that Disney Plus Day is coming on November 12th. And there's going to be all sorts of new content and announcements and stuff, you know, a lot of Marvel things and everything. So the one that stood out, though, of course, is that they're doing a special celebrating the origins and legacy of Boba Fett. So I was wondering kind of what do you guys expect from that? Because we're obviously expecting we're going to get some sort of trailer around then, if we don't have one already, for Book of Boba. But it seems almost like this is going to be different from that. And it's going to be something else. So how do you think they're going to handle that?
I think it's going to be like the Disney Gallery thing where you got some, you know, you're going to have Robert Rodriguez or Filoni sitting in their little director's chair telling stories, either the origin stories that worked for them, like in the Legends lines or something, and then they'll probably cut to teases of things, and then maybe it wraps with like a 2-minute trailer of what we're going to get.
Oh, okay. I like that idea because I was trying to figure out is it some sort of sizzle reel or whatever they do, because they don't want to give away too much, going into the show. It's all just to set it up. So I didn't know how deep they'd go.
It's not going to be a standalone episode. Nothing like that.
From what I've gathered, this is like when they do the Disney Day, they're announcing that there's going to be like whether it's going to be 15 minutes or a full episode of them discussing what we know or the lore of Boba Fett, right? Because a lot of it's just made up in people's heads.
I feel like it's off of the charts, probably not going to happen, but it would be fucking baller if they were to answer everybody's question about how he escaped the Sarlacc pit. Like they just did an episode,
in
teaser.
The Book of Boba Fett, I think we'll get that.
That's what I'm saying. That would be cool as fuck is if they released that one standalone backstory episode, and then you pick up on Book of Boba Fett, all new content, and you don't have any history stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know what I mean? They set you up, and everyone's
Right.
like, "Oh fuck yeah!" And then you start with he's walking into Jabba's palace and
So
killing
it's its own
Bib Fortuna.
standalone thing.
Yeah, it's its own little fucking piece of history.
Interesting.
And like everyone's been asking for it. Wouldn't that be fucking sweet if they just dropped that out of nowhere?
What would be really cool, now I'm thinking of it, and Disney's not going to do this, but instead of like getting Filoni and whoever's sitting in director's chairs, like it's like a reality show where they walk in and they're talking to like fucking Bib Fortuna or something, and he's got to discuss like
I always liked
what he knows about him, right? You get a little bit of story from him, and then it goes somewhere else, and he's just interviewing characters from Star Wars.
He's like, I always thought we were cool.
Yeah.
And then he comes traipsing down the fucking
I
stairs.
can tell you right now, next time we run into each other, we're going to be tight. We're probably going to get a drink. Cut to.
A reality version of Star Wars would be fucking fantastic.
The real world. Star Wars rules.
Exactly. Well, and I also wondered if there's going to be anything else. Is it just going to be this Boba thing? Are they going to give us any sort of sniff of Andor or Kenobi? Are they going to give us any sniff of Season 2 of The Bad Batch? Or is it just going to be the Boba focus and that's it?
Well, last year when they did the announcements for everything, there were some teases, visual teases and stuff. So I think they'll at least go that far again.
I would hope so. I would hope we get a little bit more. I mean, as much as the Boba stuff will be great, I would hope we get like a little taste of something, of other stuff that's coming down the line.
I don't think we'll get trailers for anything but Book of Boba Fett, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like one large sizzle reel of like, in production, and they'll just go through and you'll see shots of both behind the scenes making of, tied with shots of the series itself. We might get one of those because, Disney's, this is their big thing. And they did it with Star Wars and they did it with Marvel last year. It was just like, blah, they just blew everything, so definitely going to get more of that. And now they have stuff filmed this year. Last year they didn't.
Yeah, right. I remember sitting in my car waiting because you couldn't go inside with my kids while they were doing like their dentist appointments. And I'm sitting there like streaming Disney Day or whatever, like going, come on, are they going to show this shit or what?
Meanwhile, your kids are getting attacked by the medical droid.
I had my phone on my dash. I drove all the way home from work streaming the whole thing. And right when I got in my driveway and the kids were getting picked up by my ex and she's in the driveway. And I just sat there parked watching because I think Kevin Feige was on and it was just, I can't remember if it was going to Star Wars or it was before. And she comes walking down and she was like, wanted me to roll down the window. I was like, I'm busy. I wouldn't talk to her.
Just crack it. I don't answer questions. I don't give consent to search.
Right.
What can I do for you?
No, I'm excited for November 12th.
Yeah, that'll be cool. The other item was that there was a tidbit dropped on a podcast about a 6-part series coming from Lawrence Kasdan that is about Lucas and ILM. And no other details have really been released about it as far as I've seen. So I'm wondering, do we see this in 2022? Because the bit that was dropped was the guy, I can't remember the guy's name now, was saying how he had already scored the series.
Oh.
So if he's already scored the series, then it's got to be pretty close to being done.
Yeah, right.
So I would assume we see it at some point next year. But I was just, it sounds like a pretty sweet show.
I would say, May the 4th next year?
Oh, it could be. That could be a nice drop.
Unless they decide to do this like Christmas time. If it's finished, I don't know why they would want to sit on it for that long. But this is going to be, this is the right guy to put into it, right? I mean, he's been around Star Wars just as long as Lucas almost.
Yeah, exactly. So I just, there's a lot of ways it could go. There's been really no word of it at all until this little mention at the end of a podcast. So it just makes me wonder how, they didn't even say if it's going to be on Disney Plus or anything. There was no details. It was just this like casual mention.
How do you score a documentary? Like the music doesn't have to be super gripping for. George Lucas was born in 1970.
You're still gonna have some music.
Some harpsichord.
How do you not get John Williams to come back and score this though?
Maybe he was like, guys, I need a break.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been done with Star Wars since Empire.
Maybe he's drowned. Maybe he's swallowed
Just
himself.
got to pay those mortgages.
I've been mailing it in.
Yeah. Who's right?
All right, Visions time.
Yeah, sure.
I believe we are on the Visions.
All right, I'm gonna watch it as we talk about it.
Well, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, Jay, because Cole and I, before we started recording, we're just sharing a couple initial thoughts about it. Because as Cole said a second ago, I'm not a huge anime person as well. So I was kind of going in, I don't know, kind of tentatively thinking, oh, let's see what this is. I hope the storylines are great. I was pleasantly surprised at times, and other times like, ugh. So it was a very, very big mixed bag for me because it was kind of all over the board as far as the quality, or my entertainment, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Well, I will say it starts off with episode 1, which is titled The Duel, and it's got this, like, I figured these would be I didn't know these were going to be one-offs, and as I was going through these, this was 8 different animation studios, correct? Japanese animation studios doing their take on, like, they're just giving free, like, carte blanche. Go do whatever you want with the Star Wars universe. This isn't canon.
Right.
Have fun. Right? So I believe there was 8 different, and they say the studios at the beginning of the episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blank, blah, 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 presents, and then it would give the name of the episode. So right off the bat, it opens up, and I'm like, okay, this looks pretty sick. Like, it's a black and white, almost, maybe it was grayscale, I guess you could call it, like, episode where it just goes into this, you're in a feudal Japan.
You know what I thought the second this started? I was like, is this the Take On Me video from Aha?
Just need someone in a refrigerator.
It had that same style, that black and white. It almost looks like somebody like flipping a book to make the action go. You know what I mean? It had a different feel to it, which at first was a little off-putting for me. But then as it went on and the story got told, I actually really enjoyed it.
I got a thing for fucking lone samurai, Ronin, right? Like, I don't know what it is about the fucking mysteriousness. And then you
picture yourself that way. You picture yourself as a lone roaming.
Yeah. You know what? I like that. I'm going to get that tattooed on my back.
The Lone Ronin?
A lone Ronin.
Which Ronin is alone, but we'll go with that. Lone Ronin. You should have it on your chest.
Put it on my chest?
Yeah.
Chest piece?
Like Tupac. Just
you get
a little
R2 unit wearing a straw hat, like one of those hats you'd wear in the rice paddies, right? Like type of a deal. It's kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, he's wandering. He turns out to be essentially, I guess, like an ex-Inquisitor of some sort, or ex-Sith, because he's got the red blade, which we find out later. But when those bandits come in and they step off that, whatever that vehicle
fucking
is.
Giant troop carrier or whatever it is.
I love how they have like kind of almost like beat up or hollowed out stormtrooper helmets and stuff. It looks really rough. It's kind of reminded me a little bit in a way of when we saw some of the troopers in Mandalorian that first season. We're like, oh, it's tough times for the troopers. They're not all shined up. It's a bit rough out in the wild.
You know, I think my struggle with this, and this one, like, it was about what I expected when you're going to get thrown into, like, a short. And this is sort of recognizable for me more than the other ones because, like, this is sort of at least what Lucas took as inspiration when he went into some of this Star Wars stuff. So this one, like, this episode played really well, the duel. But and there's like and every one of them I would say there was some cool ideas, but I think I struggled mostly with, like, not knowing, like, anything. The fact that we're just dropped in, so we don't know who the characters are. We don't know. So it's hard to recognize, like, what the hell I even gave a shit for. And I know, like, this is a short. You can't get all your answers. But even when they left them completely open to, like, oh, well, there's probably more story, but there's not. So there was a few of them that just kind of, like, ended.
Yes, no, that's true. And I think in this one in particular, which, by the way, I think in the end was probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I really like this episode. But is that when they're starting to fight, it's tough to figure out, like, who's who here? Who am I rooting for here? Because again, with all the black and white and stuff, and those crazy droids and bounty hunters, like, fighting against those bandits. For a second, I was trying to figure out, like, what was going on. But one of the things I saw a note on is that apparently they're doing a book about this that's supposed to be coming out next year. And so I think it's supposed to build off of kind of what we saw in this episode. So I think some of this stuff, yes, it does get kind of cut short and left off because it is a short, but there might be content that's created off of these that we'll see more of potentially.
Yeah, I would like to see a whole, like, I don't know, short of line of like a wandering Ronin samurai getting into adventures, like Kung Fu almost, right? Remember that show?
Yeah.
Right.
David Carradine?
Yeah.
Right?
Grasshopper.
The umbrella lightsaber is something to behold. And like we referenced earlier, when she puts that one through that Trandoshan and then expands the umbrella, like you said, it's like, what's the purpose of the expansion of the umbrella if you're not going to slide it back and slice him into 100?
Yeah.
It's like, is that just for show? Like, everybody see that shit?
Yeah. Don't open that thing inside. It's 7 years of bad luck. No, it was cool to see that. It was cool to see the droid coming through in the end with the. It almost had like the whistling birds.
Absolutely.
Come through and kill all the other. I don't know. He's got that in his back pocket the whole time, and he just never uses it. But the floating log scene battle, I thought that was pretty cool.
Very Mustafar type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anakin and
floating down the river. Well, and I like the trick that he does to kind of dupe her. Kind of leaving one of his sabers there, and then she goes in and slices it. It reminded me of there's so many things that you've seen like that where they kind of dupe somebody into the pursuer, and it reminded me of like Conan the Barbarian. I screwed up because of Conan O'Brien. I don't know if you remember that, like at the end scene where the guy walks around and sees his helmet sitting there, and he fucking hammers it with his monster hammer, and it just sets off a trap that like impales him. It kind of reminded me of that. He set this trap for her. I do like the saber from behind. We saw it a lot in Clone Wars, and so I kind of like that kill shot.
So who's this lady that looks like she's ripped straight out of Fury Road?
I think she's meant to have been an Inquisitor of some sort, don't you think?
Okay, she's the Inquisitor. Okay.
And I mean, potentially he was as well, because she's like, holy shit, you're not a Jedi, you know? So that whole sequence goes down. But you're right, their battle was sweet. Like I said, I really enjoy the death shot from behind. I love the impalement from behind and the shock look on her face, like, fuck.
Right.
Yeah, and then he, like, I don't know, he's just like strolling through town as they're having this big heated battle, and then they meet. She seemed to have elvish features. Did you see that? She had like pointy ears underneath her mask when she pulls it off.
You said elvish, not Elvis, right?
Yeah. She had a raised red lip.
You ain't nothing but a Jedi. Sorry.
Guess are idiots.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know if you had anything other thoughts on that. I hope that we don't sit here and just watch this together, because we do have to record a podcast. I wish everybody could see you guys right now. They're just staring at the screen watching the episode.
So she, like at the end of it, it's very distracting. You should probably just turn that off.
I don't know if that's going to work.
He ends up taking her kyber crystal out of her lightsaber, and then he opens up the coat like he's a street dealer of cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Right? And it's got like jewelry.
He's like that was
watches.
I got some watches here. You like go down
crystals.
the alley and there's the guy in the trench coat. What do you need?
Yep.
Yeah, so he ends up having like 5 or 6 of them in there, it looks like. So maybe he goes around killing Sith Lords as a fucking hobby, or maybe he's like a bit of a bounty hunter or something. I don't know. But he ends up leaving the crystal with the villagers to let them kind of repair the damage, right? So, yeah, see, she's got elvish ears.
Fucking weird ass hairdo though.
Yeah, very weird.
But I would say this is probably one of the stronger ones out of all of them.
Yep.
This one was even though the animation was a little fucking it seemed old school, but it all works. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it kind of set the tone. I was like, oh, sweet. They're all going to be, kind of like this. And then if you're ready to move on to the second one, we get to the second one, and I was like, what is going on here?
I thought we lost Cole after this one. Like, I was almost positive he wouldn't watch another one after this.
If you two like this one, I'm leaving the show, because I fucking hated every minute of this one.
This one did not feel like Star Wars at all.
It felt stupid.
We're going to start a band and save the world. It's like Bill and Ted Save Tatooine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tatooine Rhapsody. And it's one of those where I thought, okay, I guess there's supposed to be some sort of like fun factor to this. It's not they're mixing in a little bit of the seriousness because of what's hanging over the head of that hut. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty silly.
But a lot of anime is like this.
That's true. I guess maybe that's where I struggle to watch a lot of anime then.
That's a vibe I get too. Like they draw these like life lessons that no one gives a shit about for the most part. What is the life lesson on this one? Like
trust
live
your
your dreams.
I know the song was all about be yourself or some shit.
Yeah, be yourself. And oh man, I was like, did they fucking rip this off from Fall Out Boy? Because it sounded like a fucking Fall Out Boy fucking song. Like,
and I hate Fall Out Boy. So
I do too.
You see
well,
where
I don't really hate him, but
really,
I can't stand Fall Out Boy. There were some funny moments Boba getting thrown back by the flame of.
I thought it was cool that this is the one where they actually brought in, like, Boba was in this. We see Jabba for a second. This takes place like in the big arena with the pod racing. So there was like things you could recognize, but the whole like Star Wars rock band was really strange to me.
Well, I just thought it was funny that he gets shot back and then he's like crowd surfing accidentally for a second. That was kind of funny.
So stupid.
I thought it was funny too when they were playing their clip. Like everybody was watching the clip of them performing at the pod racing arena.
Yeah.
And you see fucking Figure and Dan and the modal node sitting there looking at it like, shit, we got competition now. We're gonna lose our cantina spot.
Yeah, right.
Well, then they rip off what was it, the Antonio Banderas thing where his guitar is a weapon.
Yes.
They ripped that off. All the guitar's got like flamethrowers in them and weapons. And what did he say? Like Jabba's like, let's rock, and he hits him with the flamethrower or whatever. I don't know. He said something stupid, some stupid catchphrase. I was just like, what the fuck is this?
It was pretty silly. They also had a little shout out to at one point that G guy when they're playing the recording of their first recording, and he goes, testing 1 2 3 sibilance, and I was like, oh, that's a Tom Hanks SNL reference, I think.
Yep. Sibowitz. I always thought he was saying Sipowitz from fucking
Yes.
New York
Undercover or New York NYPD Blue.
Jinx. So the backstory, Jabba wants with this bass player from the band, one of the Hutts.
Is it like his illegitimate nephew, or what's the deal here?
I don't know what exactly is, but it says something. He's part of the Hutt legacy, and I think he's trying to like abandon the family and go do his own thing and live his own dream.
Yeah.
And the band's gonna make it, Jabba. Fucking leaving everything behind. So I guess the sentence of abandoning the family is death, according to this. So they extradite him back to Tatooine, and they've got him in Pod Racing Arena Central on the front stage. They're gonna execute him, but. Fortuitously, they allow them to play one final show.
I know. Just let us play one final song.
Like, don't worry. Like, they set up the thing. Like, okay, so these idiots are gonna go in there and they're
it's like the Return of the Jedi setup. Everybody's
don't
there
worry,
for a
it's
reason.
just a lightsaber. Or see, it's just a microphone, and it looks like a lightsaber because the lead singer of the band apparently is a Padawan who ran away from his training as well. The V5 droid in there too gets a shout out. It's like the droid that rolled up on Chewie in A New Hope. A New Hope. I think?
Scares.
Yeah, it's the scuttle droid that takes off.
Yeah, right.
He Wookiee growls at it, right?
Maybe they thought it would be carried enough by the fact that Jay, the main guy's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and so they thought people would be like, "Oh, I know that voice," So I can get into this a little bit. And then Bobby Moynihan was G, so they had a couple.
There was a
people
few times I was listening to this and I was like, "Okay, I can recognize these voices," but I didn't look any of them up because I remember when we discussed this when it was first coming out. We did a bunch of we announced the voice cast, but I will say there's coming up. There's an episode. I swear to God, it was Harrison Ford playing the Jedi Master. I kept listening to it.
I'll tell you who it is.
Okay, because I'm like. The cadence was almost there, and I was like, "There's no way he came back and played a master."
Yeah, it's not him, but we'll get to that. Yeah, the only other thing I would just say is that the line that kind of like ended it, like just wrapped it up for me, like, I can't, is when he's like, "So Jabba, you can be our first sponsor." It was so like, it was so cringy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm ready for number 3 now.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah.
That one was a complete bleep of a shit show, I thought.
This one was dark and pretty badass.
I wouldn't say badass. A lot of I don't know, just like they never, like that's the thing with the 15-minute short. So they got the conjoined twins of the Star Wars universe, right? They got these conjoined Star Wars cruisers, or what are they? The fucking death cruisers,
Star Destroyers.
Star Destroyers, and they're like
with the gun in the middle.
They share like the ion cannon or whatever the hell it is.
The fucking hyperdrive, I think, or something. I don't know.
Here we go. Oh, there it is.
You get this wannabe Darth Vader guy strolling through the fucking area, and no one's challenging him. Like they're all showing like a subservience to him or whatever. But there ends up being their two twins, and they're like raised
on the dark side.
On the dark side, Siths, right?
Yeah.
And they got this armor that's feeding off of a kyber crystal, right?
Yep.
There's Master Am, who's one of the twins. But all of a sudden, he's got a change of heart. That's what I hate about these 15. Like, all of a sudden, he just decided to.
Yeah, we have no information as to why.
Abandon the dark side, because it starts off with him going in and stealing the crystal out of the main area.
Yeah, and then the sisters just turns on him. "Oh, you piece of shit! I'm gonna kill you." It's like, what the hell? Kind
of reminiscent of Finn. Like Finn just one day had a change of heart as a stormtrooper, right? Like it's just like no one really explains why.
Well,
So-
I mean, there's only so much time you have, so they can only do so much. But this one, I went back and forth on. There were times, like some of the visuals and the music and stuff, I thought was familiar, and it felt, a little bit like A New Hope in that regard. I don't know. There was something about it I couldn't quite totally get into. I do like the fact that Am, who's Alison Brie, by the way.
Oh,
I like how she has the 3PO droid that's like the bad 3PO droid.
Yes.
And then, of course, Kare, who is Neil Patrick Harris, he's got the R2 looking droid, who I think it's called R Duo. It's like
Yes.
really close.
yeah, real close.
Based on that, I was like, well, Kare is the light side and he's got R2. I think I'm going to be rooting for him. No offense. No offense to the other two.
Well, there's a shit ton of like plot holes here. So why is there an X-wing just chilling in a fucking hangar on these Star Destroyers?
That's a
Like,
fair question.
They're supposed to be TIE cruisers.
Right.
TIE, you know what I mean? Like there's just an X-wing all of a sudden, and then R2 jumps into it, and then he's trying to escape, and his sister's like force holding him as he's trying to like jettison out of there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we've seen in the movies.
And then they are on the outside of the Star Cruiser having this epic battle with their lightsabers. They're just out there in space with no helmets or anything on. They just breathe in the air. Like, what is going on here? You
Well,
guys
they
got
don't need to breathe, apparently.
a force holding of the breath trick that I
Yeah.
don't know about.
I mean, even Leia had to come in for a landing.
When old Dark Side 3PO comes out, he's got a fucking bubble helmet on. I'm like, he's the only one that doesn't need to breathe anything, and he's got the helmet. I'm like, are you guys fucking with us intentionally right now? Like, I got super annoyed with that. It's like, that doesn't make sense, because I notice it with the humans, and then they put a fucking bubble helmet on the one that doesn't need it.
I know.
I didn't even notice that he had the bubble helmet on. I was paying more attention to the fact that I was like, he's outside running around on the top of the Star Destroyer. How is he doing that? I don't understand that.
It's like, it was like a Jetson helmet. The Jetsons, they wear the little
yeah.
helmet. That's
Yeah,
the exact
right.
same thing it looked like. It was crazy.
Like I said, there were some parts of it that were cool. Visually, it was kind of cool. And then it, like when Am goes full Grievous, she's trying to hold him back. She's trying to pull back the power source. It ends up splitting the kyber crystal, and then she sees this vision that he has that she's going to die because that stuff's going to overpower her. So she's like, yeah, fuck that, I don't care. And then it basically injects it into her body. And then he pulls this move that is even more insane because he straps himself to the front of the X-Wing. He's standing on the front of the X-Wing.
Right.
He lights up his saber because he puts
He
his
says,
part of the
"Eat
crystal
your
in.
heart out, Ryan Johnson."
And yes, exactly. He's like, I'm gonna do a little holdo maneuver here, and I'm going to, while we're going into
Hyperdrive.
hyperspace, I'm going to just hold my saber up, cut through the entire Star Destroyer, which is going to magically cut through and knock her crystal out, but she's not going to die.
Yeah, right.
It was a crazy thing. I mean, the still shot they showed that kind of just panned across that looked a lot like the Last Jedi, after the holdo maneuver. That was a cool visual.
Right.
But it was this episode was just bananas.
He had to so he got when he put his kyber crystal in she turns all General Grievous whipping fucking
Right,
lasers and all
right.
that. His gets my saber just extends a little bit more. He gets he must have got the shit
got
half
short.
of the
He got
kyber
excited.
crystal. He got the Danny DeVito part of the twin,
You're right.
I guess, apparently. But then he's like, as he's holding his saber up, he's like, I gotta turn this thing off at the exact moment, or else I'm gonna cut her right in half, right at her labia.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's fucking hits the kyber crystal, turns it off, and okay, all right.
What is she? Is she like Darth Arachnid? I can't figure her out.
She's what is that stupid Sailor Moon? Is what she looked like.
Okay, yeah.
Darth Sailor Moon.
This does look like a very 80s anime,
Yeah.
Voltron, Sailor Moon, Robotech, like that kind of old school. It would be to us the
Yep.
stuff that we grew up on.
Yep.
It was cool, but you're right, bananas. Just a little too far out there.
Well, and then it looks like at the end he kind of ends up as at Tatooine again.
Yeah.
You can see the two suns, and
Yes.
then he's like, she's out there.
Fucking they
she's
all
my,
end up on Tatooine.
She's my
always
twin sister, and I can feel it. You got the episode 4 themes coming
Very
full
much,
circle, right?
yeah.
Now he's gonna go out and find his sister.
Like where Ray's living inside
oh,
the fucking.
she's my sister.
Oh. Look at him with his fucking black shirt on, talking to our Dio.
Duo.
I'm just gonna chill on the front of this X. I don't even need to be in a cockpit.
Yeah. See, that's crazy. Should we move on to Village Bride?
I mean, if we have to.
This one was fine. I thought it was a little bit boring. We're on this remote planet where this Jedi is I had to look up the name, is with this guy, Valko, I guess is that guy's name. I don't think they ever actually say it. And he shows her this couple who's wanting to be married and paying homage to the planet and the nature of the planet and all that stuff as part of their wedding ritual. But he informs her that these raiders repurposed separatist battle droids to take over the planet, kind of after post Clone Wars. And then, of course, we also see that the Jedi has some sort of memory of Order 66, I think, and her master dying. I think that's the vision she keeps getting in her head. It's funny because you come to find out that Haru is her name, is offering herself up as part of Prima Nocta as a sacrifice to the Raiders.
It is her noble right.
And her sister Saku's like, fuck that, let's fight, you know? So it had cool elements that built up to it. It's just by the time it got done, I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of so in the end for me.
This is a weird one. I couldn't make heads or tails of this episode.
It starts off with the old Buckethead walking around with a barometer on, like trying to like measure.
And is he like a master?
I don't know what the hell he was. And then you got like a human rickshaw trekking a bride. He's like got her on like a baby Bjorn on reverse. She's on his back.
We can't have your feet touching the land. This is your day.
A lot of like mysticism and planetary environmentalism type, I guess, is what you'd say. Magina was what it was, like the
Mangina.
I was waiting for you to say it. I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna see if one of you two said it. I knew you would. So they're at like one of the summoning circles from World of Warcraft, one of those stone portals, and they're like hanging out, and then you get the Sky Earth River fucking vibe coming in, and the energy from the planet, and so there's a lot of weird shit going on. And then she's wearing like that Sub-Zero mask.
Yes.
And it was kind of a weird. I could care less about that episode. I don't know really
what are we supposed to learn from this.
I don't know.
Sacrifice? I don't know. Because in the end, she goes to offer herself up to the Raiders, and then the Jedi steps in because he finds that her sister was bringing a thermal detonator and trying to blow him up, so he's going to kill her. But the Jedi comes in and stops that from happening, kind of reveals herself, and then they end up, smoking the Raiders. And so that's kind of it. I mean, it was like that happens, and then they fly away, and they're all like, "Cool, thanks," and that was it. It was just kind of I don't know. It felt like a short that needed to be longer, even though I didn't want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Like they needed to have more of a story there.
I kind of felt like there was a wannabe Millennium Falcon, the ship that they landed on. That was kind of that. And then the guy with the bucket on his head fucking sniping. He's got 3 rounds. It's like he shoots
ran out.
Ran out of. I didn't really prepare myself for this sniper mission.
I like how his bucket head just like raises up above.
Yeah.
Like that does not look cool at all. We need to come up with something better for you.
And what does it do? Did we figure out what the bucket does?
No.
It's part of his sniper gear. It raises up, and that's where they think his head is.
It opens.
So the bad guys shoot his bucket, and then he finds their location and kills them like Saving Private Ryan.
He tosses
he's just
the
walking
bucket
through the valley. He's just like raking the grass or some shit with a bucket on his head.
He does whip the bucket, and it's a bomb, right?
It's like some sort of thing that disables all the battle droids.
That's right, yeah.
It's an EMP bucket.
In the end, the bucket worked. See, you're watching it right now. He's going to chuck that bucket. It's going to kill all those battle droids.
It's like pumpkin chunking.
And there's the fake
I'm ready to
Falcon.
move on. Put it that way.
I'm happy to.
Ninth Jedi, episode 5. Now, this one I loved. I thought this was a great episode.
I thought this was really good, too. This is one of my favorites. It's basic. One of the things I like, too, is that it's not an era that we know. It's way beyond the Skywalker era. So it's like centuries, or I don't know how far in advance of that. So it's just always cool to me to deal with new eras.
Well, you get right off the bat, like Ethan is the Jedi that's walking in. They're all being called to this area. Was it they promised him lightsabers, right?
This is the one where they're harpooning asteroids for kyber crystals, right? Okay.
Yep. Well, Ethan comes walking in, and immediately everyone's quiet but him, and he's the only one in there asking questions. Like, this guy is going to be the first one to die. This one is not like the others, right?
Yeah. Right.
And it kind of turns out to this. So, like, Margrave Juro is the ruler of High Island, I guess. Yep. And he's calling all the Jedi in to, like, offer them training and new lightsabers?
He's offering them lightsabers because this is his attempt to try to restore the Jedi Order.
Right. So they're using, like, this catapult / trebuchet thing where they throw a hook up into the air and then it takes off and they grab an asteroid, pull it in, and get a kyber crystal out of it. So we get to see a saber maker, like the guy who specializes in making sabers, and he's tempering the crystals to align with each of the users. So, like, as you open your saber, it'll go either red or blue or green or purple, apparently, as well, later on in the episode.
Right.
And it'll, based on your height and weight, it'll give you a color and a length based on your physical attributes, which I thought was a fucking baller idea.
Well, we talked about this with Rebels and how you could, we realized how Kanan could adjust his. Yeah. And so this, though, was not manual. It was adjusting based on who you are. There was a whole, like, what your connection to the Force is. It determines kind of what the saber is. Almost like this clear non-color saber that is it's still a saber, and it still clearly works because Kara is using it
Yes,
in
his
the
daughter,
episode
right?
before she gets her, before it turns blue or whatever it turns for her green maybe. And so I thought that was an interesting way to handle that it was like it was an offshoot of what we're used to seeing, where they actually find the crystal, make the saber. This one, the saber exists and it turns based on who you are and how you connect to the Force.
Yeah, and so like Kara is the daughter of the saber maker, and the saber maker's got like 7 or 8 lightsabers made up. Now, this is one of the things I looked up. Apparently, the wrap that he put them in was some sort of traditional Japanese. They wrap. I can't remember what it was. Wrap their weapons or something in that.
Before they gave them away. Or
Yeah, and then he
handed them
ties
down?
it around her waist or something like that, and then she takes it. She's supposed to take it to the temple to get it
Right.
to the Jedi. But these 2 acolytes, I guess, of this, I don't know what the hell they are.
They say they're acolytes of the Sith.
Okay, yes, that's what it is. And they're here, and they end up trying to like hijack all the sabers, right?
Yeah, because it's like a switcheroo, right? Like they're pretending to be Jedi and they're really getting them there so they can kill them and take everything.
Yep.
But they don't
And so
really reveal themselves until he does.
Right.
That droid's sitting there talking to him, that big monster droid, and then all of a sudden he emerges from it like, I've been here the whole time. That's kind of when they reveal themselves,
Yep. So there's a cool chase scene. You get some Return of the Jedi sound effects
That
with
was
the
awesome.
speeders, and then she does the cool force driving, and she does a 180, and she's returning like saber blaster fire. I thought that was fucking baller
That
too.
scene was awesome.
Yes, so she's like, it was cool because you get the Return of the Jedi sound effects with the speeders, and then like it's a wooded scene they go through, and then she ends up on the ice and she jumps off, does the slow motion cut the speeder in half move. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the music was good. The way, like, if you want to say the camera work was done, was great. There was a lot to like, and then when you get to the kind of final sequence, she really shows herself. Her saber actually turns colors while she's fighting. Like all of a sudden, her connection to the Force must be heightened during that battle, and so she becomes this badass, like in the midst of the fight.
And she finally just like kind of commits. I love the old droid on his Union lunch break. Won't get up off of his fucking ass, sipping oil out of a teacup. I'm on my break. Like,
Find somebody else.
15 minutes.
Like none of them are.
I wonder if maybe I didn't finish this episode because none of this is looking familiar to me.
Well, you should go back and watch. The
I
rest
know
of it.
I know I started this because I know that there was the guy that was inside the robot.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't remember
it's a
this.
fun ep. Yeah, and then that guy, like you said, that one dude's. You don't realize it till later. All of a sudden, you look over and that guy's saber turned purple. Like, oh.
Yeah, Homan or something. So they're
Hyman.
dropping names. There's Nizo, there's Ronin, there's Homan, there's Kara,
Jesus.
Ethan. Young Ethan barely survives the battle, but one of the Siths got red
Ethan's
lightning.
got work to do.
Yeah. One of the Siths has red lightning that comes out of his hand. And I think Homan was dark side and then he came to the light.
I think you're right.
Is that what, did you get that vibe
I think
too?
I think his saber starts red and then it switches.
Yeah, and he says something like, I couldn't stay, I couldn't continue on or something like that. And then so maybe, like, is that foreshadowing for maybe Mace Windu was a bit of an asshole at one point in time and then came back?
Right. I thought of Mace immediately.
Purple is a little bit of the middle.
So yeah, the big bad red Sith guy, he disintegrates into dust or whatever, and they keep coming back to that, like looking at that with the camera.
Yeah, that little force move where he throws him onto that crystal, whatever the hell that is, and he just disintegrates. That was kind of nasty.
There was some actual decent violence in this one, I thought. Like they were cutting them in half.
Oh yeah,
slicing people into bits. I like that.
I'll have to go back and watch this one again because it does look like maybe I didn't finish it.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's good. It's a good one for sure.
And then we go on to episode 6.
I mean, this is what's the name of the little fucking the little Japanese character that was super famous? This is a little robot.
Oh god.
They made a movie about him. Fuck. Not Adam.
I know what you're talking about.
It's that as a Jedi.
Yes, this might be my least favorite episode, even with Tatooine Rhapsody in the mix. Those two are probably my least favorite. It's
And the fact that they make a robot a Jedi.
yes, but one of the things that was weird too was the fact that it looked like an old Disney cartoon, like an old Disney movie. It had that vibe to it. The music was just bonkers, and like especially Professor Mitaka, who by the way, Kyle Chandler, he looked like are we watching the Seven Dwarves or something? Like, what is this? It looks so much like
this
a Disney cartoon.
Very much like what's the name of the Master and the Apprentice, right? Mickey Mouse with the brooms and and the Sorcerer Apprentice. Yeah. This is he gets the droids to do all the things, and it's got the mop buckets and the brooms, and this is a lot of that there.
Yeah.
You get a montage of him like scouring the planet looking for a kyber crystal, like looking under rocks.
Yeah.
Like that's not how it's working.
I've looked everywhere.
Toby, fucking idiot.
Yeah, he goes looking everywhere, and then he's like, "Hey, I remember the professor said not to look in the basement. I bet that's where it is." So the motherfucker starts meddling, gets in the basement, turns on the ship, and of course the Sith's like, "Uh-oh,
right?
I know where they are now."
Immediately has a homing beacon on it.
Yeah, and so he basically kills the professor by turning that thing on.
But we don't see any of that. It's just the professor's gone.
Good job, murderer.
And then all of a sudden the kid turns into a badass. Like he's like, I'm a Jedi. And then the robot fucking like joins into his head, turns into a rocket pack. And
how does a robot
they go
become
crazy?
a fucking Jedi?
I don't
You gotta
know.
have feeling with the Force. Like, where's your midichlorians going into the fucking electrical wires?
Apparently anything could be a Jedi.
Look at this rock. This rock is one with the Force.
Well, it is everywhere. It surrounds us.
Well, and it was interesting too when the Sith comes and they battle, and he realizes he's a Jedi or whatever. He's like, he says, "I cannot allow you to become a threat," which I thought was interesting because it reminded me, and I couldn't think of the movie. There's a movie where maybe it's a mob movie or something, where the guy's like, I got to kill this guy's children because someday they'll grow up and want to avenge their father and come back and kill me. I can't remember what. It's probably been done in many movies. But it had that feel to it, like I can't leave you here because you could grow up and be more powerful and then come get me in the end. So I'm gonna kill you now, little robot kid.
Yeah,
I feel like you were rooting for the Sith in this one because of the sentient robot. You know, like I was like, I bet you Matt's
There were
rooting
many
for the dark
reasons
side
I was
of this,
rooting for the Sith in this one. He's
Crush
pretty
this
badass
little
looking too,
fucker.
frankly.
Yeah, yeah. So Toby, not a fan. We don't like him. He can go eat shit.
Yeah,
it is probably the most out there of the episodes. And what we know about Star Wars and the Force and whatever, and they're just like, fuck it, anybody can be.
And fun fact, Mataka is also Japanese for "I have no hands." So
right.
The guy didn't have any hands the whole episode. Did you guys notice he just had sleeves?
The professor.
Okay. I think he lost his hands in battle.
That's what happens when you're a Jedi. You're gonna lose your arm or both. That's just the way it goes. He never got him replaced. That's the problem. He didn't have the resources.
And this kid, he's building a speeder bike. He's like, I'm gonna go find me a kyber crystal.
Come on,
Yeah.
CO3.
I'm gonna search the whole planet.
God. Yeah. It was rough.
All right, enough of that one.
All right. The Elder is next.
I liked this one.
Yeah, this one's pretty fucking wicked.
Kind of had that High Republic feel to it with, I don't know if the timing's exactly right, but they said it was between like Darth Bane and Empire and stuff. So I think it was meant to be somewhere in that High Republic realm. They look like it with their the way they were dressed.
Yes.
This is the one where you thought it was Harrison Ford?
Yeah, very Qui-Gon like Master Jedi.
Oh, it's David Harbour.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, and the way he talks the whole episode, I was pissing my pants laughing because everything is just so calm. He's just like, yeah, I think there's a dark side here. And then he's like, but then the best part is he's like, so Dan. The guy's name is Dan.
I know.
Yeah. I was like, they're really struggling for Jedi
Dan
names.
the Padawan.
Dan. Not even Daniel. Dan.
Well, what would you say we should do here, Dan?
And he's a very sleepy master.
Yeah, he just nothing gets him excited. I don't think there's ever a moment like where his heart goes above like 40 beats per minute. He is just
Hey, Master, you've been to 700 planets. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
just so, whatever.
I get the a little bantering between Master and Apprentice reminiscent of Obi-Wan and Anakin a little bit. I felt
kind
that
of a
too.
more like a Qui-Gon almost.
Qui-Gon,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
felt
guess you're
very
right.
much
Yeah.
Qui-Gon, yeah.
Qui-Gon. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, so his name is Tajin, I think, or Tajin, something like that.
So they're just traveling through hyperspace, and all of a sudden, they get the Highlander. I feel a presence. So they fucking take a park out of hyperspace and go down to a planet, and then he's like, well, maybe we're too close, and he's hiding his presence from us now. So they're like, well, let's split up, boss. I'll go take the high ground. And so he goes basically.
I can't
walks
believe
to
he
his
went
murder.
for it. I can't believe he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. We should split up. I'll go look for the ship, and you go in the mountains where the dangerous creatures are. By the way, be careful about the dangerous creatures because they'll kill you.
And if we know anything about Star Wars, the negotiations just never work out.
No, never.
I think he's kind of like, you know what? I've had enough of this bullshit. I'm sick of Dan. He's the shitty apprentice.
I need some time. I need a break.
I just need a fucking nap. You can hear it in my voice.
He's down there sleeping in the Sith cruiser, just fucking.
Master, it's Dan. Yeah, I'll be with you in a minute, Dan. So when he goes to look for him in the mountains, Tajin finds the ship and he's like, Dan, this looks like a Sith ship, so you might want to be careful.
Come in, Dan. Dan, are you there?
Danny there. Never mind.
Oh, Danny boy.
And it's been a couple hundred years since like they've seen or heard from Sith, right? So it's like,
right,
well,
they think they don't
most
exist.
likely there is no Sith. And then with the ship, and then Dan comes across some like slaughtered beast who's got one fine cut across his throat. He's like, that sounds like a lightsaber.
And then we find out that the dental plan for the Sith is terrible because they don't have any sort of dental insurance because this guy's old. This old golem-looking thing comes creeping out of the woods with 2 lightsabers.
And you know who it is? It's Az Morgan. It's James Hong.
Az Morgan.
The guy who played Az Morgan, that monster in Rebels, that the puffer pig and all that stuff or whatever, that episode where he...
Oh, the fat guy?
Yeah. So it's the same voice, James Hong.
Okay.
Very good.
That guy is old as fuck, by the way. I looked up James Hong. He's 92. He's still,
Holy fuck.
Still doing voice work. I love it.
Jesus.
But yeah, so then the Elder pulls out his 2 red blades and they battle. And we think he's killed Dan.
Right.
Because Dan gets a slice to the midsection and goes down, but apparently he's still alive. You see him open his eyes, but Tajin shows up and they fight, and he disarms him with the one, gets rid of the one saber and destroys it. And it looks like he might be in a bit of trouble, but Dan wakes up just in time to toss his saber that kind of distracts the Elder, and it allows Tajin to do the old chest stab. I like because he lunges and then he turns it on.
Yep.
Like he lunges and has it right in his chest and then turns it on to get
does the old faint follow through is what I call that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, and then he I like the fact that the Elder just turns into like a pile of dirt clods when he
He does.
What the fuck was that?
Cue dust in the wind.
It was wet dust is what it was. You know, just like it takes a while for him to crumple away.
Yeah.
And then he's dead. But this was a pretty cool episode. But this was like just enough of like the lore that we know that this was almost all of this was recognizable, right? Except for the fact that like they're using katana blades or the Elder for his lightsabers.
Right, those were a little bit different. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then he blows up his ship. He does the Predator move before the fucker can die, right?
Right.
Hits the
Did you find out about any more of the Sith or if there's anybody else left?
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Boom.
Yep. So thumbs up for that one. I did like that one. All right, we got 2 left. Lop and Ocho. Oh,
Lop and
boy.
Ocho.
Fuck it and fuck it. So on to the next segment.
So
We'll make this quick.
this one was beautiful graphics. I noticed right off the jump. I thought that was really like gorgeous, more than any of the
The
other
animation was
episodes.
pretty good in this.
It was.
And so we're on the world of Tao, T-A-O, where they're going with the old trick of relying on the Empire for modernization and industry, which everyone knows could
It works every time.
Could not go bad.
Seems like a good idea at the time. They're real excited. They want to be industrialized, but there's a price to pay for that.
I need more backstory on why Sis just goes rogue and falls in love with the Joker of the Empire.
Boss Yasoburo.
Yeah.
I love that name.
And just goes against her father and her bunny sister that she says we're going to adopt.
You are not Japanese. You are not Tanaka.
Well, I love that Lop just sounds like a bunny name for some reason, but it's the fact that they fast forward 7 years. Yeah,
Right.
you have no idea what happened in that time. It just we're catching up with them, and she's the blood sister, the blood daughter, is all
Ocho.
fucking all in on Ocho. She's all in on the Empire. So
Did you guys catch a sighting that we've been talking about on the show, or was it audio clue?
Yeah, the Wilhelm scream?
Dank Ferrick.
Dank Ferrick.
Yes, I
Yep,
caught
Matt
that,
caught
yes.
it too. Yep, I was wondering if you guys got it.
Yeah, so essentially the dad, Yasaburo, is fighting against the Empire, and Ocho's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Dad? Like, this is not cool." And he's trying to explain to her how they're basically destroying their world and they need to get the fuck out. It's funny too, because when that Imperial officer shows up and he's talking to her, he looked like a DC character, like a DC
He looked like
comic
the
book
Joker.
villain. Yeah, right. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was bizarre looking.
I enjoyed the aspects of the ritual stuff, like the blood ritual where she cuts off her braids, like denouncing her family, her heritage, siding with the Empire, and then the lightsaber ritual for Lop, where he hands it over to her. Very reminiscent of Bloodsport when he hands over the katana blade to Frank Dukes from
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Yeah.
That's the one. Jesus. Gets more energy drinking me. So I like that stuff. I like the lore aspect of that, And then you get the father-daughter fight, and he loses his other eye. Spoiler alert.
Right.
And then Lop and Ocho fight in the end. How did this one end? I didn't even write it down.
I think it kind of ends with like a draw, right? Like she just sort of disappears.
Lob does like a double cut move that leaves her with this nice fat red X on her chest because he thinks she's dead at first, but she survives. And so, and then it ends with Lop basically being like, "I'm gonna do whatever I can to reunite the family." I'm like, I don't know, man. I think Ocho's gone. I don't think you're getting her back.
Bring her back.
But the hope of getting her back, I guess. And then Akakiri is the last one. So this is, they said it's like just before the initial extinction of the Sith, is when Tsubaki is this guy, and he's fighting off these creatures, and he has this vision of somebody dying, and he keeps having this vision over and over of somebody dying, and he's trying to figure that out and what's going on. And so he meets up with Misa, his old lover, and her crew, which includes Senshu, who is voiced by George Takei.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
They're also in exile, correct, from the royal family? Because
right.
Misago, who we find out is Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife. She might be taking a little bit of the testosterone.
Yeah.
I think I see an Adam's apple developing on her. She's a female bodybuilder, to say the least. She was a Sith in hiding in the royal family, apparently, right?
Yeah, so they try to sneak in there. Well, at one point, like one guy gets lost, and so Tsubaki goes back for him, so they kind of get separated. But they end up in the temple, and that's when she shows up, Misago, and with her guards and stuff, and is like, takes all those people hostage, and it tells the guy, it's the standard Star Wars thing with Tsubaki. It's like, join me, be my apprentice, and everything will work out just fine.
Together we can heal death. Doesn't Tsubaki kill Miso on accident?
Right, because he keeps having the vision of killing someone in a mask, and ends up being when all the soldiers come running at him, he slices them all down, and the final one is her in a mask. He doesn't know it, and he slices her, and then realizes he killed who he was trying to protect the whole time.
And then Misago comes through and join me, and it's the let's stop death together. The Anakin wanted to save Padme thing, and she does it in like a fucking snap of a finger. Together they combine their powers, and
then he becomes an apprentice.
Yep, I'll do whatever I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's like, "Wait, where are you going?" He's like, "Sorry, made a deal with the devil."
I like the idea behind this, but I think the fact that I didn't give a shit or know enough about these characters, there was, it didn't mean anything, even though that was the intent was supposed to have, right? Where it was he gave everything, including like turning in order to save her life, which was interesting, but it was like, you spent most of the time just, traveling through the fucking mountains with these two idiots, and, they'll do a little bit more for money. And then I'm like, well, if she's a princess, what the hell's going on? And why is she going back to the place that she's not needed if she's just going to be captured right away, which is what exactly happens once they get there. We get like one flashback scene where she had long hair and he was younger, and like everything was like, flourishing in the kingdom. And then all of a sudden, she comes walking out from the doors, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think it was meant to show her as having this vision for her country or her people or whatever, and not liking what Misago was doing with it, so feeling like she needed to go back and take that. That had to be her motivation.
But how is she going to take it over?
Didn't have that part of the plan. They only had the plan to get in the temple or the palace. They didn't have part two worked out yet.
Anything. There was like,
we'll
we've got no weapons. The other two they let go because they got him as far as they needed to go, and then she's surprised when she comes walking out and she's going to take her captive.
That's the beauty of this plan, dude. The simplicity. I'll double back and beat it out of her.
We'll figure it out when we get there, guys. Don't worry about that part. All right.
Also, shout out to the two couriers that get them there, the bumbling servants, the fucking skinny tall one and the fat short one. They're like,
the Laurel and Hardy of Star Wars.
David Spade and Chris Farley. They're so stupid. They're like, just keep running into trouble. I don't know.
So that was Visions.
Some good and some bad. I mean, I think there were probably 3 really good episodes. I think there were a couple that were kind of so-so, and then there were some that were pretty rough.
Yeah, I agree. I'm interested to hear other people's takes, both on our take and like what they got out of it, because I've seen a lot of people on social media like really talking like they enjoyed, at least from what I've seen, it seems like they've enjoyed a lot of this.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things in play there. One is it's just a different style. It's opening the door to things that we're not used to seeing in Star Wars, so that's kind of refreshing. I think is that people get these new storylines that we haven't thought of before, and different aspects of it. And then also, just from our, like we always say, it's new Star Wars content. So like, let's go.
Right.
And, you know, so in that regard, I appreciated it. Like I said, probably 3 really good ones, 2 or 3 in the middle, and then the last 3 that were just like I'll probably never watch again.
Yeah, hot and cold, very hot and cold. Like if they could figure, like I would take 2 or 3 of those and like go with it. Like turn it into canon. I'd love to see this played out. I'd love to see more Dan.
Dan the Jedi Man.
Big Dan fan. Dan, he's
We
the
gotta
man.
make T-shirts. Big fan of Dan the Jedi Man.
Dan could score the winning touchdown, and Tajin would come over and be like, "Great job, Dan.
Yeah.
That's really impressive."
Dan, I have never been prouder or more emotional in my entire life. Like he should be hosting
Good job,
Delish
Dan.
Dish on NPR.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you set, Master? How did you know, Dan? Was it the tone of my voice?
You've got this high twitch thing going on.
He needs to have like a Jedi meditation podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 12.
Dan isn't here this week.
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize. Dan is out. He's out on a run with his friends from the planet that he made, winking.
For the next 20 minutes,
He's
you're going
practicing
to
his
listen
wink
to
in the
me
mirror.
sleep.
Oh, crap. All right. Well, let's go to the mailbag.
Maul Bag!
Hello there.
You've got mail.
Okay. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, you can reach out to the show at FACPApod@gmail.com and send us your mails, and we'll go through them. And I got to say, the first one up, wait for it. Uh-oh. Mike Laybourne.
Why don't you eat my ass, Mike? That's my response to that.
He made his own drop.
Glad someone finally made the drop. That's great.
Yeah. He said it to me this week. I was like,
Oh, he made his own drop?
yeah, he made his own. I was
that's
like,
funny.
because he said he had it, and I was like, oh, don't be too long. Like, don't be like a minute long or something. And I was like, perfect. Good length. Thank you.
I was actually expecting like just quote after quote after quote of Cole just scolding him. It
Ripping
was just
him?
one of
Yeah.
them.
No,
Yeah.
that's the one. So he's dropped a challenge on you for that. He's still waiting for you, I think, to make another.
I'm working. I tried to figure some stuff out at work, but the fucking work Wi-Fi wouldn't. I was
Right.
trying to make a new Maul Bag too, but
Well, and let that be a lesson to other listeners. If you're a regular emailer of the show and you want your own drop, send it to us. And we'll be happy to play it.
That's right. Yeah.
because Lord knows
you do
I
all the
don't-
work.
Lord knows I haven't been doing anything.
All right. So Mike says, "What's your earliest Star Wars memory / introduction to Star Wars, and why was it jerking off to Slave Leia?"
First of all, get out of my head.
You know, I have to be honest. I don't think I ever did do that.
Okay. Well, maybe you could use that now to get through your shots. To get through
Well,
your
that's true.
12 blows.
I do need a few shots to go through.
Eruptions.
Yeah. 12 of them to get through.
Just
gonna be a struggle.
finish like Tajin. Just be like, I came.
We keep saying Tajin, but every time you say it, I keep thinking of the fucking spice, the Tajin, Tajin. It's like the.
Well, then maybe it
Indian-
is Tajin. I don't know. I might
don't
be
know.
wrong.
Is
I
it
don't
with
get
a
them all
J?
right. It's Tajin. Tajin.
Okay, then no, it's not the same.
So what is your earliest memory?
My earliest memory is actually being in the theater and watching. What
Jedi?
was it? Yeah, it would have been Return of the Jedi. Yeah, I remember. I was scared shitless at the. Of course, now I lose the name. What's the name of the beast underneath Jabba's?
Rancor?
The Rancor. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I remember being in the theater, fucking like both scared and like glued. I fucking loved that movie. And then I remember getting into an argument with a friend. Of course, I was 5 years old, and that's the first time I'd seen Star Wars or anything. And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, and he tried to tell me there was another one." I was like, "No, there's not another one. What are you talking about?"
There is
So I remember having that. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know if I saw. Maybe I saw A New Hope on TV, but to me, my seeing it in the theater was the big thing.
You didn't piece it together that those were.
I don't
same?
remember. Like this is 40 fucking years ago. But
Watches The New Hope on TV, watches episode 7 or 9, and then he's like,
maybe
that's that
maybe-
guy. That's that
Yeah,
same
the
guy.
argument was.
Where do I know him from?
Maybe the argument was there was 2 before, and I knew of one.
Yeah.
It was a long time
Just-
ago. I do remember seeing that was the one I saw in the theater. And
Why
it
is
was
that
like,
guy always wearing a glove? Where did he lose his hand?
yeah,
I don't get this
at
at
5.
all.
I don't know if I put that together. It was just cool. Michael Jackson was doing it. Luke Skywalker was doing it. You know.
What's your first memory, Cole?
First memory of Star Wars was I always used to reenact with my younger brother Seth, or my older brother Seth. I'm the youngest. My older brother Seth. We used to always hang upside down from this apple tree in our backyard that had this perfect horizontal branch, and we'd loop our like right behind our kneecaps, right there. We hang upside down, and we were just where you could fully extend out and you could touch the ground. And we used to stick a fucking stick in the dirt and pretend that was a lightsaber. And we would pretend to like force pull it.
Oh, really?
The Hoth cave scene.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. We used to do that together all the time until I got too heavy.
I
and
thought like
snapped the
you were
branch.
hanging from there and then
Don't want to talk about that though.
I had a weight problem. I was in a husky gene.
I have a bit of a weight problem. Sorry.
Used to grab bear claws two-fisted as a kid and get them caught right here. No. Yeah, so that was like the fun. And then like just playing outside. Han and the Millennium Falcon. My brother had the old Millennium Falcon, like the one that wouldn't even open. It was just the ship that we found at some flea market. And it was like the coolest fucking toy. But the thing was beat to fuck. It was stained up and everything. But like,
you didn't give a shit.
we played with that thing in the sandbox over and over. And over.
yeah.
We had very hodgepodge crew of toys. We had some He-Man, we had some G.I. Joe, but we made a full fucking battle no matter what we did. So it was a lot of fun. So just playing outside and doing that shit with my brother was a fond memory.
Was the sandbox Tatooine?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep, we
just
called it
making sure.
Tatooine. Yeah.
It always goes back to Tatooine.
Crudely paste construction paper suns over into the horizon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I talked about this maybe on our show at one point, but my first memory was must have been 4 or 5 years old. It was one of the re-releases of A New Hope before Empire had come out.
Yeah.
And I had to piss so fucking bad. So I remember getting up and I'd seen the movie, but a bunch of times. But I remember feeling like I gotta go, and it was the scene where Obi-Wan is disabling the tractor beam, and I'm like, okay, I know what happens here. I'm gonna go real quick.
Yeah.
That's this vivid memory I have of literally being in the theater, seeing that on the screen as I'm going out the door. Like I have that weird memory locked into my head. And then otherwise, it's like you said, Cole. It's a lot of action figure playing around. That was a lot of it.
If only they had an app that told me when I can go pee during a movie.
What?
There's an app for that.
Obviously, you're not going to have that thought as a kid. That was the joke. But now they have.
Is there an app that
There's
says
an app.
that?
Yeah,
Best
there's
pee
an
breaks?
app that tells you, like what time's a good time.
Oh,
It'll
that's
say
funny.
you have 2 minutes at this time, and it'll give you like a summary of what happens in that scene, so you can run to the bathroom and come back, and you really haven't missed anything.
Do they have that
that's
for a
awesome.
number 2? Like if you got to take a shit.
I don't know if they put 1 and 2 on it. That'd be pretty great, though, wouldn't it?
There's a different
Although, like, how many
version.
people like really? I don't think I've ever had to like run out of the theater and take a shit during a movie.
Version 2.0.
Yeah,
That's what they call that.
Shit break is what it's called.
there we go. Fucking let's patent that right now.
All right, that's it for the Maul Bag this week. So let's go to the FACPAtoid.
All right, who's got this one?
Darth Vader was a name that didn't mean anything special. That's just another one of those things that came out of thin air. It sort of happened in my head one day, Lucas said in J.W. Rinsler's The Making of Star Wars. He later told Rolling Stone, Darth is a variation of Dark, and Vader is a variation of Father. So basically, it is Dark Father.
Just right from the beginning. He's like, spoiler alert, and no one caught on.
Nobody caught it. Is Rinsler the one who just passed away?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Rest in peace.
Yes. Good books, too. I've talked about those before. They're fucking awesome.
Yep. Well, and speaking of books, next week we're going to talk to Ty from the Wayfinder Pod,
Yeah.
who's all into those books, and he does a podcast that's about them as well. So we'll bring him on the show.
We should ask Ty right off the bat if he has any sort of male figure in his life that he refers to as Dark Father. Or maybe someone that touched him as a little kid.
There we go.
What is that? Always Sunny? The fucking Night
Oh
Man?
yes, right. Yeah.
Nightman.
The Nightman.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And until next time.
Sorry about that, Ty, first and foremost. Never tell us the odds.
I forgot my line.
In your experience, there's no such thing as luck.
Yes, in our experience, there's no such thing as luck.
We have spoken.